on tomorrow and give us the scoop on James Pierce Jr., okay? And the reason he's going to do that, Tim, you've heard there's character issues. There's character issues. Like I was telling Jacob this morning, Tim, I have no idea what Dave Hooker's going to say. Dave Hooker may come in here and go, you do not want this dude on your football team, right? I did not ask him for a tip. I didn't say, hey, how do you feel about it? I wanted it to be organic in the conversation. He may also come in here and go, nah, that was all bull. I'm about to say the bad word. That was all BS. So if that's the case, great. But look at this right here, 33rd team. I was just coming through Twitter, and this came across the wire. Highest percentage of pass rushes with a pressure last season for the top edges in the draft. James Pierce Jr. at 23.4% led the way. Then Braden Swinson, Greg Cosell absolutely loves him. A little bit later guy. I don't know if he's going to go in the top 3 rounds. He may go in the second round. I'm almost positive he's not going to be a first-round pick. Then he's at 20.1%. Abdul Carter, 19.6%. Jalen Walker out of Georgia, 19.5%. Mike Green, 17.8%, but he had the sacks, right? Donovan Ezaraku, 14.9%. Shamar Stewart, 13.4%. Nick Scorton, or Scourton, however you say it, 12.2%. And then Michael Williams, 11.5%. Really interesting because there's 3 players on this list right here the Packers have already had top 30 visits with Michael Williams rounding out that list, Shamar Stewart at 13.4, and the leader of the pack here at 23.4, James Pierce Jr. I thought that was really interesting, man. Has anything changed on you and the research you've done in James Pierce Jr.? I'm really excited to talk to Dave Hooker tomorrow about it,
man. Nothing's really changed for me. Still think he's one of the fastest dudes as far as that, like first step, off the snap kind of guy. And, for all the fans out there that, complain about our pass rush, you can't be mad drafting a guy like this. He's going to help you in that department. My only concern would be his fit in a 4-3 scheme.
Right.
Maybe that's something we can touch on tomorrow for sure.
Yeah. We hit on it a little bit last night too, and I'll try to get you up to speed here. But Joseph said, I was really hoping for a 65%. Hey, there's always time for a 65%.
65%.
That's what I'm going to hate to see Mark Murphy go, man. I think he's done one hell of a job. That dude, class act. I love that guy. What was it? See, Joseph gets me off track here. What were we just talking about? Oh, you were talking about the 4-3. So we uncovered last night, they had a linebacker position at UT called the Leo position. And it's kind of like a jackbacker, one of these guys that's a hybrid, essentially. In Notre Dame, they've got a Viper. Same thing. He's a guy who can rush the passer and also drop into coverage. So they kind of played him at Leo. He's kind of how when the nickel really took over in the early 2010s in the league, and everybody got away from their base defense because they were just matching that 11 personnel. Remember how the slot corner, they called it the star, and everybody was crazy about the star position and the nickel corner? This is kind of the new buzz here, right, in college football anyway. So hopefully we'll get a chance to ask Dave Hooker about that as well. Like, hey, the fact that he played Leo, will he be okay just putting his hand in the dirt all 3 downs and setting the edge and playing the run a little bit too? Because that's definitely his weak spot in his game. Boy, as a pass rusher, this dude, man. I don't know, man. I'm excited to see. You guys know how I feel about it. I'm not a Tennessee fan either, guys. I grew up hating Tennessee. I live in Tennessee, but I grew up hating Tennessee because they always kicked our ass in football. Now they're kicking our ass in basketball. Me no likey that. Not that I'm a huge basketball fan, but we always said, yeah, we'll wait till basketball season as if I cared. And now that ain't working out. So pray for us over here, all us Kentucky fans. But again, I'm not a huge UT fan. I don't root against them necessarily because, it's good for the economy when UT's good at football. Everybody getting drunk, spending money down here in Tennessee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with James Pierce Jr., man, the way he looks on our board, bro, I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know why people don't like him as much. And that's why I want to get Dave Hooker on here to go, is there really character issues or not? Because that's the only snag on him. That's it.
And that's probably the only thing that would bounce him out of the first round is if there's any kind of validity to that. Other than that, he's in my opinion, a surefire first round pick.
But we got him in a 12 spot.
Yeah.
And it's you're talking production, you're talking athletic ability. He was a team captain. That's the other thing. Like when they say, oh, he was a bad teammate. Who said that? Oh, an unnamed scout. Oh, okay. Lions season. Like, well, he got pulled over with no license. Y'all would hate my family, let me tell you. It's just I look at those things and it's just like, check it off the list, check it off the list, check it off the list,
Yep. And on paper, he's a guy who's gotten better every year.
right?
I mean, you just going back to 22 and just looking up to last year, man, just constant improvement.
Yeah. And listen, Goody did his due diligence, but if I were to find a negative in terms of the Packers probably won't draft him, the only thing I can come up with if the personal issues check out in a positive is he wasn't a Senior Bowl participant.
Yeah.
It's the only other thing, really is. So, yeah. So James Pierce Jr. in the 12 spot, and I'm again that. Hopefully Dave can make it tomorrow, and he's a busy man. If he has to cancel, completely understand, but I'm excited to have that conversation with him and see what a guy covering UT really thinks about it. So
for sure.
Here we go. Antonio Universe. Swinson looks like a steal in the mid rounds. Man, I didn't know much about Swinson, Antonio, until I heard Greg Cosell talk about him, and Greg Cosell raved over him. I'm going to try to matter of fact, let me just go. You got anything else you want to add to the James Pierce Jr. talk here, Tim?
No, just looking forward to continuing this tomorrow night, with an insider. It'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go find Braden Swinson real quick, if I can spell his name right. There we go. Popped right up. So, yeah, mid-round, that sounds about right there, Antonio. We've got him in the 85 spot on our board. And, again, you'll notice the Greg Cosell, the 5-point bonus. I'm going to go try to look up his RAS real quick. It's still spinning, man. RAS must be working overtime, Tim, because I can't even get this out. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't an RAS for him yet. Last time I checked, we did not have one. But he's an intriguing prospect, man. It's one of those guys that the tape really, really pops from Braden Swinson. You got anything? How would you feel about the Packers not taking an edge in the first? Let's say they go corner in the first or wide receiver, right? Let's say they go a different route in the second round. Let's say they go corner first, wide receiver second, and then they come back and get or even a 3-tech in the first, wide receiver in the second, however you want to look at it. And then you come back, let's say, in the third round and get Braden Swinson at edge, man. The way Greg Cosell talked about how he can rush the passer, pretty phenomenal, man. I would be okay with that.
I would too. Because to me, like if you're going to go edge, then you're going to swing for the fences and take an edge in the first round, or early, possibly trade up and try and get something in the second. But I'd be a bigger fan just by, looking at what my interpretation of team needs. I'd rather see edge picked later in the draft, mid rounds, third, fifth round and beyond. So yeah, Braden Swinson looks like one of those guys, man. 6'4", 250. It's a big boy. And, I'm looking at his PFF grade from last year, 83.3. The guy is an absolute monster. And another guy that you can look back the last three to four seasons and just see constant improvement. So it'd be nice to see an RAS on him. But other than that, I would feel great about him third or fourth round if he's there.
His RAS is still incomplete, and it's going to be incomplete going into the draft. He was 6'3", 255. You'll notice on our board here, Tim, he's got the hard eyes, so that means he does meet the athletic threshold. Or let me put it this way, he didn't run the 40, okay? He didn't do the explosion testing. He crushed the shuttle and the 3-cone, scoring having a 4.33 shuttle, a 7.13 3-cone, both scoring in the 8s. His arm length, 33 inches, right? So not running the 40 and not getting the explosion grade with the broad jump and the vertical, we're not disqualifying people from the threshold if they're lacking information, okay? Now, if they did everything and they didn't check out, then they won't have the heart emoji, and okay, that's someone that's not there's no way possible they could have met the threshold. But the Packers have met with him, and he was a team captain. So I'll be okay with him in the third round for sure, man. That'd be great value in the third.
Another 34 guy, though, so another one you might want to put a little asterisk. How well can he play in a Jeff Hafley 4-3 scheme?
And if I hadn't heard Greg Cosell, I would be concerned about it. But hearing Greg Cosell just talk about this dude is one of the more polished pass rushers in the entire draft. He knows how to use his hands. He's got a counter to the counter move. He's one of these dudes, kind of like Mike Green. When you look at the tape of Mike Green, I know there's personal issues there. Don't get me wrong, character issues. But when you look at Mike Green, he has a damn game plan. You can tell he studies the guy that's going to be blocking him, and he sets him up like a boxer. Jab, jab, hook, step around hook, or step around uppercut. Like it's just for everything that opponent is going to throw at him, he's got a counter move to it, and he's thinking one or two steps ahead. He really is. So Braden Swinson kind of sounds like the late round version of Mike Green. Obviously, he's not an athletic freak like Mike Green. And Mike Green, man, if he can get his head out of his ass, that dude, he can be a great football player. It's just when you hear you hear the same problem at multiple stops, it's got to raise some, a little question in your mind. So,
yep. The question is, if that does in fact hurt Mike Green's draft stock and he's on the board for us, you got to start asking yourself, are you willing to take a shot? Because I mean, we're known for not doing that, right? We like high character guys in Green Bay, but if he's an absolute freak of nature, you got to wonder.
J. Cole says, I can see Mike Green or James Pierce going to the Lions. I could too.
Yeah.
Tell you where some people are mocking James Pierce too.
Minnesota.
Philadelphia Eagles, 32.
Oh, wow.
That would just make all the sense in the world, wouldn't it, Tim? They just get another stud edge defender, and all of a sudden you got Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis in the middle plugging that gap, and then you got all of a sudden you got a James Pierce Jr. screaming off the edge, and of course, just like Jalen Carter, everybody's, oh, he's a bad person, hasn't gotten into any trouble whatsoever since being in the league. Yeah.
And people change, right? I mean, you could have character issues coming out of college. I mean, I'm sure these guys aren't the first people to do stupid things in college, and you can grow up a little bit and become a professional and you put that behind you and continue to grow. So it's not necessarily a deal breaker, although, obviously any kind of criminal stuff, that would be a deal breaker if that does end up happening. But, I think it's fair to give guys the benefit of the doubt at the same time. You got to consider these character issues when you're looking at a prospect, but, it doesn't always have to be a deal breaker.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're right, man. Coach Lynn says, Ezaraku, in the same way he has a plan at edge, also great hand work, good stuff there. We've got him in the 31 spot on our big board. Here's the only problem that I see with him, Coach, and you guys know how I feel about this. I'm not a threshold junkie. Like, I'm willing to break the threshold. I want a good football player. That's just the way I see it. He's 31 on our board. He was a team captain. The Packers have met with him. They must have met with him at the Senior Bowl. He's a Senior Bowl, so that checks the box. Yep. We'll see if they schedule a top 30 visit with him. Although, I got to be honest with you, I would be a little surprised if the Packers did a top 30 visit with Ezaraku, because Jeff Hafley already got a real good look at him at Boston College, right? So there's really no need to waste the top 30 if his college coach had all that time with him at Boston. I'm pretty sure he played for him. I don't know. I don't think he was a recent transfer. Of course, if he becomes a top 30 visit, then we'll dig into that information and bring that to you. His RAS was an 8+. I haven't heard Greg Cosell say anything about it, but the athletic threshold, he did not meet the athletic threshold. And I can't remember if it was height, weight, reach, whatever it may have been. But, yeah, I would say, there you go. Joseph confirms half recruited him there. Yep. So I'd say he feels he's got all the information he needs on Ezaraku, right, Tim?
I would think so. And big shocker, Ezaraku is a high football IQ guy. What a big surprise here coming out of Hafley's system there in Boston College. So that's a guy that's definitely going to translate to the NFL. You wonder where he would go too. Ezaraku's what on our board? I can't read it.
31.
31. I've seen him as high as 17 on other boards. So, he could fall out of the first round in theory, or he could go earlier than a lot of people think too. So another guy that you're right. Maybe they didn't waste a visit on him because they got the intel they need already.
Yeah, could be. Gamer guy in the chat says, if Mike Green is there, he's definitely got to be the pick. We've got Mike Green at 18. That would be great value for pick 23. But again, you see this purple box right here, gamer guy. It's the off the field concerns. And again, if Goody takes him, then that means Goody, and listen, they hire private detectives to do this background work and everything. They've got former federal, police officers and all kinds of stuff to really dig into the backgrounds of these players. So if that's the pick at 23, if Mike Green's on the board and they run that card up, also a wrestling background and a team captain, man, that means that Goody said, all right, everything checked out, nothing to worry about there. And you just got I think he led college football in sacks, if I remember correctly. So absolute stud, Mike Green. But just that off the field stuff, man, especially in today's age, man, you got to really, really pay attention to that stuff for sure.
I agree.
Anything else, Tim, you want to hit on before we wrap up, big dog?
No. That being said, though, I still think Mike Green is probably a Detroit Lion at the end of the day.
Definitely.